Heaven Official's Blessing. Tian Guan Ci Fu by Mo Xiang Tong Xiu. Read by Plant Bones. Chapter 22, Part 2. Fang Xin was swung, and even though it was a slender blade, its shockwave almost loosened Lang Tianchou's grip on his massive greatsword. But just then, a silver-curved blade flicked Fang Xin, hooked it, and pulled it aside. Xielian was startled and cried, "Sanlang?" Zhirong could see how badly Xielian didn't want him to speak, and how desperately he didn't want Lang Tianchou to hear the story. So Zhirong had to do the opposite. He grabbed this chance. "Prince Anle was our good Xianle boy, very obedient. He heeded my instructions and became false friends with you. But your Shifu bumped into us cleaning out the young and rat's nest at the gilded banquet. Anna escaped. You rushed to the gilded banquet and saw what happened. The state preceptor Fang Xin became the most wanted man in the kingdom. That's the story. Not a word of lie." Xielian tried to charge forward to shut his mouth a few times, but he was stopped by Huatang every time. Xielian cried again, "Sanlang!" However, Huatang didn't say a single word as he continued to block Xielian. The more Xielian wanted to charge over, the faster Zhirong's lips moved. "But you know this saintly cousin of mine, when he saw with his own eyes the people of Xianle committing murder, he must have thought, 'How can this be? That's not right.' So he went to find Prince Anle to educate him a little. But when he sought him out, my God, what did he discover? Anle's massive plot! The plans didn't stop with assassinating some thugs. There was no way the cousin could educate him. So he hardened his heart and killed the last of our royal house with his own hands. Afterward, you caught your Shifu and nailed him to death in that coffin. And so ended my cousin's magnificent life as a state preceptor. Cousin, am I right?" Zhirong spat a mouthful of blood next to the feet of the statue. "I know you too well. You love doing shit like this. Ancestors above, look at what a good descendant you gave birth to. Not only has the Xie clan of Xianle lost everything, now the bloodline is cut. Xielian, you unlucky star, you god of misfortune, your existence is Xianle's greatest tragedy. Why won't you die? You even have a face to keep living." "I saw with my own eyes. He killed my father with his sword," Lang Tianchou said. "How do you explain that?" "If it's not your blind, elderly eyes, or water getting into your brain, then I can only think of one reason, which is that Enlil indeed stabbed your old man, but he didn't die." "Then, did he finish him off?" Zhirong howled. "What are you saying? My good cousin is such a kind soul. As if he would do that straight off. When he arrived, he'd be too abashed to finish the king off right away. He'd have to do a little show of trying to save the poor guy first. But your dad probably killed himself." "What do you mean, killed himself?" Lang Tianchou demanded. "What's the first thing someone saved from an attempt on their life would do?" Zhirong asked. "After seeing so many massacred at the gilded banquet, what would your first reaction be?" Lang Tianchou still hadn't completely figured it out. "Find the murderer?" "Wrong," Zhirong said. "After my good cousin saved your old man, and he found his breath, he would have suddenly said, 'Quick, state preceptor! It was Prince Anle who did it! Go, kill Prince Anle!' No, not just that. He must have said something worse, like, 'State preceptor, call upon everyone. I want the entire population of Xianle wiped out. I want to bury them with all the dead.'" His imitative tone of despair and fury was disturbing to listen to, and Lang Tianchou was growing paler by the minute. Zhirong continued. even if he didn't order for the deaths on the spot. And that also had the entire nest of your old hag's relatives killed in front of the old coot. So sooner or later, he would have had to open fire on the people of Xianle. Your good Shifu realized this, weighed the options, and decided no, the old man couldn't be saved. So talk! And the old man's heart goes kaput. That's the kind of person my good cousin is. A saint who can't have sand in his eyes. Always doing shit that hurts both others and himself. He wants to please both sides, but succeeds with neither. Qirong, shut your mouth, Xielian shouted. Lang Chenchou whipped his head around. Why'd you want him to shut up? Because he said the truth? At the gilded banquet, you and Anla both struck. One killed my entire family. The other finished the act on my father. You're all lying to me. Xielian started. Don't listen to... Qirong, however, cut in. Of course we're all lying to you. You're so stupid. Who else would we deceive if not you? If not for the interruption that spoiled our plans, Shenla would have already taken your damned life at the age of 12, instead of giving you the luxury of growing up and ascending. 12? Lang Chenchou repeated. The biggest incident that happened when he was 12 was kidnapping, and he was saved by Xielian. He demanded. That year, the culprits who invaded the palace to kidnap me were sent by the people of Xianle? Duh, Qirong spat. Do you think ordinary assassins could just kidnap the crown prince from under the noses of hundreds of royal palace guards? Please, I was the one who helped Anla with that. Lang Chenchou nodded. Helped. Good. I understand now. So all my friends are fake. The people of Xianle never cared for our amity. Your Prince Anla never had good intentions, and instead came for our lives. He turned to Xielian. So everything you told me was false too? Qirong pretended to look surprised. Come, go quickly now. Tell me, what did my saintly cousin tell you? Lang Chenchou ignored him completely and continued to address Xielian. You said Yong'an and Xianle were but one nation at their roots. Whatever conflicts the royals had with each other had nothing to do with the civilians. Both sides used to be one family, and under our generation's rule there could be changes for the better. As long as the people were happy, it didn't matter what the royal house was named, and both sides could let go of their grudge and unite in time. All of that was false. All nonsense, bullshit lies! This was precisely what Xielian didn't want to hear. He cried out immediately, No, it's not false. Think, under your rule, weren't there real changes? Lang Chenchou closed his mouth, and the heaving of his chest faltered. Xielian continued. Didn't you do really well? Didn't the remnants of Xianle integrate peacefully with the people of Yong'an? There were fewer and fewer conflicts and riots. How could any of it be false? There was a moment of silence. Tears rolled down Lang Chenchou's cheeks. But what about my royal parents? Yong'an and Xianle integrating was their greatest wish. That's why they granted the princely title Enle to the last of your royal bloodline. Their wish came true, but what of their end? Qirong clicked his tongue. Whiny crybaby, just like my saintly cousin once upon a time. You came crying for your old man and old hag. I haven't fucking harassed your ancestors for my old man and my old hag. Integrating Yong'an and Xianle was their wish. Oh, what pretty words. Anla. Settle first, joy after. You think I can't tell that it means you Yong'an dogs want to walk over the heads of Xianle for the rest of our lives? Xielian yelled angrily. Qirong, stop your madness. Lang Tinqiu, on the other hand, glowered at Zirong, with tears still falling from his hands. You're the mastermind behind the massacre of my clan. And you're part of the plot behind the gilded banquet, too. Zirong snickered gleefully. Yes, I'm part of it. Anla was part of it as well. And your Shifu. We three people of Shenla all had our part. Unexpectedly, midway through his laugh, Lang Tinqiu's great sword swung down and struck. Qirong yelped and was sliced in two. It was an exceedingly gory scene. Both halves of his body writhed and rolled around on the ground, and his upper half cried, It doesn't hurt! It doesn't hurt! It doesn't hurt one bit! Compared to that French from Cousin Crown Prince, you're nothing! Lang Tinqiu didn't say a word, just grabbed him by the head and picked that half up. Qirong was still spouting insults, but Celian noticed something off in Lang Tinqiu's expression. He warned, Qirong, stop talking if you value your life. Celian always treated others with kindness and respect, but Qirong was not someone who could be faced normally. Celian knew this truth profoundly. Every time he had faced Qirong, Celian's normal politeness disappeared, and he unconsciously started being rude himself. Lang Tinqiu dragged Qirong's upper body to the giant, boiling, bubbling cauldron. Do you usually use this cauldron to cook humans? As Qirong's mangled carcass was dragged around, it painted a thick trail of blood on the ground. Yeah, so? Without another word, Lang Tinqiu let go of his hold. It was hard to discern whether Qirong was screaming or laughing, and the moment he was dropped into the cauldron, his flesh instantly split and burst open from the scalding heat. Celian had not expected this development. His pupils shrank and he blurted, Tinqiu! Lang Tinqiu responded sharply. What? How many people has Green Ghost Qirong eaten? Why can't I teach him what it feels like to be cooked? He's the enemy that murdered my clan. Am I not allowed to make him suffer? Of course he could. Celian couldn't say anything, and he had no right to say anything either. Yet whether it was as a crown prince of a mortal kingdom, or as heaven's martial god of the east, Lang Tinqiu had never done something like this before. He had always been straightforward in fights, never cruel. These actions were far from the Lang Tinqiu that Celian knew. When Qirong was fished out of the boiling water, his body no longer retained a human shape. It instead resembled a melted lump of skin and flesh, bones poking out in some areas, terrifying to behold. Yet he still seemed quite pleased and was still guffawing. Congratulations, cousin! Look at your good disciple. His wings have hardened. He knows how to use torture now. Lang Tinqiu released his hold, and Qirong was once again submerged into the burbling cauldron. This time, when he was dropped, it seemed even his bones were dissolved by the boiling broth. Qirong didn't float up again, and the only remnants of some green cloth emerged from the surface. After a while, having still not seen his shadow, Celian couldn't help but call out, Qirong? His younger cousin, once upon a time, couldn't shut up about his cousin, the Crown Prince, idolizing and praising him for everything he did. However, after the fall of Xianla, he turned into a complete madman. He led the burning of Celian's temples and the desecration of his palaces, and he commissioned the kneeling crown prince statues everywhere, affixing them as thresholds. To make Celian suffer, he would do anything, at any cost. Celian has done his best to put up with the behavior, and if it involved others, he did his best to obstruct it. Until finally, when he could no longer tolerate it, he had to stay away and practice the idea of out of sight, out of mind. Afterward, they lost touch for many years. and Xielian thought that Qirong had passed away. Who knew that after so long he would suddenly meet this figure from his past and see that his face so resembled his own? He couldn't tell whether there were any feelings of nostalgia. The two of them were the only ones left from the royal house of Xianle, but they hadn't even been together for long before Qirong died before him, cruelly killed by Lang Tianqiu, who in the past would refuse to even so much as flog someone. So much happened in such a short period of time. Xielian hadn't yet sorted out the thoughts in his head, and his heart was a mess. Lang Tianqiu stood next to the cauldron with his head hung low, unspeaking. Just then, Huatang spoke up. "He's not dead." Lang Tianqiu looked up at him. Huatang said, "You can't be thinking you've actually had your revenge. You only killed one of his many clones. If you want to exterminate him completely, you'll need to find his ashes." "Thanks for reminding me," Lang Tianqiu said coldly. "I'll definitely capture him with my own hands and use his ashes to pay my respects to my king father and queen mother. Once that's over, I'll come back and settle things with you, Preceptor. Don't you dare think about running away again."